But I just wanted to start with an encouragement about the lies that we can kind of pick up in our process of our health journey when it comes to mindset, how to identify them and how to uproot them so that we're not battling against them along with the physical side of everything. Because we're spirit, soul, and body, and all of those things are working together to heal. And so a lot of times when our mind is working against us, so we're doing all the steps, and we're practicing all the self-care and all of these healthy things, but we're battling this thought in our mind. It can I feel like it can kind of defer our progress, and it can kind of like if it's heavier than it needs to be, like the actual step or the actual thing that we're practicing every week to support our bodies. So as I was just praying over like what to go after today, I really felt like the Lord was, really take that verse of like taking every thought captive, like it's something we all say, like, oh, I need to take that thought captive, like opening that verse in my life to help, like to ask the Lord to come in and partner with me on what that means. And so he was really showing me that every thought is either rooted in a lie or in a truth. Like, because there's no half truths. Like, he is all truth, he's all light. And so and when we're believing thoughts that are true, it's going to accelerate or propel us into that health journey that we're going after. When we're partnered with truth, with the action, our faith in action is what produces what we're believing for. It produces what God says it will when we're believing the truth. And so, like the Lord, because I really struggled with self-sabotage, throughout my journey. I always had to fight these thoughts of like, I'm not good enough, or what I'm doing is not good enough. And if I don't do it perfectly, I'm just gonna end up right back where I started. So why bother? Why put so much effort? All these thoughts were coming at me. And the thing about lies is they've been with us our whole life. And so they're so sneaky because they sound true, they feel true, they look true, and so they masquerade themselves as truth in our journey. And so we're constantly battling, um trying to disprove them with our actions. If we're doing the action without believing that this action is going to produce something in our life, like we're doing the action to try to prove that this is going to work for me, or like there's a risk of like, oh, I'll try this and maybe or maybe not it will work, because like, just I had to talk myself through some of the steps with Andrea of like, okay, I can trust her because she's done the work, she has the head knowledge, she has all these testimonies of how it works, how it has worked for women. And so I can like put my faith knowing that I'm going to do this and I'm going to get a certain result. But in the back of my mind, this lie is trying to disqualify me of like, that's not going to work for you because your body's just that different, or you are too far gone, or you've had too much toxic overload, or all of these things that try to sabotage whether or not this thing is going to produce in our life. And so the Lord was showing me, like, I really had to sit with him and ask him, for one, to help me identify what is the lie that I'm believing in this, and like even if it's like resistance, whatever the challenge is for your week, there's always going to be some type of resistance. And so it was with some intentionality sitting with the Lord and saying, I feel a resistance here. Like, I don't feel the freedom that I'm going to do this action. I'm going to be faithful to do this step, and I'm going to feel better by the end of the week. If there's a resistance there, I ask him, what is the lie I'm believing? Sometimes there was some steps that I needed to take. Like, there was some forgiveness. There was like breaking partnership with a lie. Like, I am no longer going to agree with partnering with this lie. I'm going to break off that agreement that this is true in my life. And we think we think like, oh, we can think ourselves out of the lie, but there is something to be said with what we apply our faith to. You know what I mean? Like when there's an agreement with that lie, our faith produces, whether we're partnering with a liar, whether we're partnering with truth. It's going to produce because that's what it's meant to do. And so when I sat with the Lord and I'm like, okay, show me how to uproot this lie, show me how to break off this influence, even if it's a half, like if there's a half truth that's kind of partnered with a lie, I need to sever that. Like I need to figure out, you know, what is tainting a truth that I am walking towards, but maybe there's something attached to it that I'm like dragging along, and it's creating this resistance in my process. Because that lie attached to the truth is going to lead to like destructive thoughts that leads to negative behaviors or outlooks, and it's going to lead down this train of thought that's going to be associated with that action. So every time I try to do that action, it's like this train of thought is with it, and I have to battle both. I have to battle
Yeah.
the physical side of putting this into action in my life and making this a new lifestyle, but I'm also battling this huge train of thought that's coming along with it, that's telling me that it's not going to do what I want it to do. It's coming back to this place of alignment and just owning what it is your body needs. But I had to step back into this place of I've been living my whole life not really understanding how to take care of my body, and I need to own that. I remember like I had to take myself back to that place of like, this is what my body's capable of when I give it what it needs. And that's the normal. Like that's how to take care of my body, and really be a good steward of it. And everything else is like a destructive behavior. And I don't want to like make a blanket statement, but a lot of times the things that are destructive for our body, we're using them to numb something. Like even when it comes to stress, like I know when I'm stressed out, I've conditioned myself that this is going to be self-care for me. It's actually adding to the burden, because not only is like my soul, like, which is stressed because of all the emotions, and my body's tired because there's all these stressors, but I'm adding to the burden because I'm not actually taking a look at like, okay, what is it that I'm you know wanting to numb. And I kind of let resistance be it says like let your conscience be your guide, but like resistance was kind of like my guide. Like if I feel resistance towards this action, then there's something that I need to stop and take a look at, because numbing is going to lead me back to all of these symptoms that were just making everything worse, and it was just a super hot mess of destructive behavior. And it was just like this catapult and snowball effect, um, in how it was impacting my life. So I let the resistance, and it really has to come with being really intentional, especially like heading into the holidays, and where there's not a lot of time to stop and think, okay, I feel resistance. I'm not feeling free in this choice, or I'm not feeling free um, to do this behavior, even if it's just like, I don't know, like 5 minutes of, because a lot of times I would just kind of write out the different lies that I was believing. And it was kind of like this go-to of like, okay, I feel resistance. So where's the lie? Like what is it that I'm trying to numb so I don't have to take a look at? Like for me, I'm a 2 in the Enneagram. So a lot of times connection and feeling loved, feeling seen and known, like that's a huge way for me to like relieve stress, or um, feel back to feeling whole or whatever. And so a lot of times I was just kind of I gave myself some time to just sit with the Lord and be like, okay, what are like the top, we'll just say 3. Well, what are the top 3 lies that are governing my life right now that you want me to be intentional about in this next season? I really want to take a look at and take these thoughts captive, because those like 3 general lies all these different thoughts are kind of like already structured in our daily life where they're reaffirming that lie, like not being good enough. And a lot of times that's like the resounding lie for the day of like I wasn't good enough in my job, like I didn't respond to the kids, the way I should have, like and then, that not good enough kind of like leaks into other relationships, like, because I'm struggling in this area, I'm not good enough, wife, friend, whatever. And it's kind of like this theme and this pattern when the real roots is like really surrendering that thought to the Lord, and saying like, Lord, where did I learn this? And what is your truth? And what do I need to go back to? Because when you can take those lies and like the one thing that the Lord showed me recently is he's like, I want you to like think of the garden of Adam and Eve and how Eve had this choice, like to partake of the fruit or not. And he's like, at throughout your entire day, there's going to be the lie and there's going to be the truth. And you get to choose which one you're going to nourish yourself throughout your day. And it's going to take practice. And he was kind of showing me like, he's like, when it comes to our thoughts, we're going to choose to be fathered by something. We're going to either be choose to be fathered by like the father of lies, or we're going to choose to be fathered by the father of truth. Because either way, we're getting fathered. We're validating that thought that we're partnering with. We are like meditating on it, even though we don't think like a lie is so much easier because we're conditioned. We already
Yes.
have all those thoughts. But with the truth, we have to like be even more intentional, because from where we're at right now, the truth it doesn't feel true. It doesn't look true because like we have the symptom, or we have the stressors, or we have, even if it's relational, we have this person who might be mad at us or whatever. So the truth is going to be harder to validate, but the lie, we're still fathering it. We're still like applying thoughts to like the physical situation. And when you apply the thoughts and you act on them, that's something that your faith is going down that road. When the opposite can happen too. Like you can be fathered in the truth and say like, no, I am good enough. I am redeeming this situation. I am I'm empowered because I have the mind of Christ. I've been given every spiritual blessing in the heavenly realm to do this positive, healthy behavior. And so like the Lord was really showing me that mindset is really choosing which thought to be fathered by. That's why, we really want to go after, mindset, because it's such a huge part of prolonged success. I think inner healing and a lot of the mindset work is a huge part of it, because the actual step is like really easy. Like if the mindset wasn't coming against us, really easy to get the water in, because it's just something to do. But it's the mindset, it's the emotion that's attached to it that is actually making that hard. That's actually presenting the resistance.